And then you come to the Titans, and I live in Nashville, and my wife and I get season tickets like right when you guys starting to take off. Some of the best fan experiences of my life was in that stadium when you came running out of that tunnel and the whole place is screaming Eddie,
Oh
Eddie.
yeah.
So then I get your DM the other night. I got to tell you, so I walk into my wife and I get to do some cool things. So nothing gets her excited anymore, obviously. And I walk in, I said, I'm holding up the Instagram DM for me, and I go, Eddie, Eddie. And she goes, what? And I go, read this. She was like, no way, tell Eddie I said hi.
Tell her I said hello, man.
I
Hey, what's up, everybody? Eddie George here, and back with another great episode from Heisman to Headset. And this week's guest is a phenomenal guest, Ken Coleman. Ken Coleman is a broadcaster. He's a podcaster. He has his own show on the Ramsey Network with Dave Ramsey. He's worked with John Maxwell, the guru of leadership. And we're going to talk about everything from faith, leadership, his hero, his highlight, and so forth, and really have an engaging conversation on how he made pivots through his life and found his platform in his own voice. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Now, on the football front, just got off a bye week, so we went undefeated last week. We won our bye week. We didn't have a game, so that was great. Had a chance to go to Toronto with the wife, relax, hit the reset button, recalibrated. Now we are refreshed to play our biggest rival, the biggest game of the year, and that's that team up north. It begins with the T. I can't say it in the building. But it's going to be a good one. Our guys are rested. We're ready for the final 7 games of the season. It's going to shape up beautifully this weekend. So it's going to be a tough one. So enjoy the episode and feel free to leave any comments or who you might want to see me interview next on the show. So just put it in the inbox and let me know. So enjoy. Focusing on getting to know me, I get to know you. We own the fact that, hey, we are here, but we have an opportunity to do something great about it. This is going to bring us together stronger. Because I have every aspiration and intention on winning the MAC this year. That is the goal.
I will. We love you, man. We still live in I work with Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
And I have my own show on his network. And so we're right here in Franklin, man.
Nice. Yeah, I know you got your own show, man. We're going to get into that too. All the topics you're talking about. It's right up my alley in terms of this. Well, basically the show is from Heisman to Headset and everything in between, everything I've experienced and how I've made a pivot in my career. From leaving football to entrepreneurship to now coaching, from acting, and how it all just kind of ties in. And the inspiration behind it is really to define what leadership is, really delve into who you are, how you became a coach, because you're a coach now too,
That's right.
and that's wanting to get your philosophy, your coaching philosophy, and how you were inspired, how you knew, the moment that you wanted to do this, how you found your purpose. Because for football players, for us, you have you die twice. The life of a football player and everything that went into it, from your childhood to high school to college, and you spent your entire life building this persona and this person, this completely different person. And at some point, at a very young age, even if you played the age of 40, it's still very young, and you have the rest of your life ahead of you. And I wanted to build a platform that just gives people insight, blueprint, a hope, a place to heal, just really inspiration. Like, man, you know what? This didn't work out. How do you find your purpose? So that's the whole premise of this deal. And Just really want to delve into your personal story, man. You know, you
Yeah.
grew up in Virginia.
Yeah.
Where at in Virginia did you grow up?
Yeah, in the Hampton Roads area. If you don't know where that is, that's Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and then across the water you got Newport News, Hampton. Hampton's a hotbed of sports. In high school, I played against two number one draft picks in basketball. I played against Joe Smith and Allen Iverson.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, and then Mike Vick, Michael Vick was from that
Yes.
area.
Lawrence
So
Taylor.
yeah, Alonzo Mourning,
Yes.
J.R. Reed. I'm dating myself here.
Nah, nah, we're right up the same alley. I
Yeah,
grew
man.
well with
Yeah.
the Fort Union Military Academy in Virginia.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fort
So
Union's still a great place.
great program. So I'm very. We used to run track against those schools and get
Yeah.
our doors blown off.
Okay. That's right.
They
That's
were
right.
awesome. They were awesome, man. But just share with me real quick the
Sure.
story of your life. Just kind of bullet point it real quick. But
Yeah.
how did you know that this was your purpose? How did you find it, or did it find you, or
Yeah.
were you searching for it? How
Yeah.
did you know?
Well, at 16, I'm in high school, and I grew up in a pastor's home, small church. So, super small church. Nobody ever knew who my dad was. But in that military area, we had a very diverse church, because in that area, the Norfolk Naval Base, the largest naval base in the world, we have Air Force, Army. So a lot of military in that area. And I grew up watching my mom and dad love people.
Mm,
I love them well and serve them. And, people of all races and creeds. And so early on, I had a sense that I wanted to do work that helped people. And I never felt a call to ministry. It was not a tug for me. I
mhm.
thought about it. I looked into it. And so I'm 16 years of age, and I always loved history, loved people. And I felt at that time, sophomore in high school, that I wanted to go into politics and do good for people through policy. Now you're 16, it's all ideal, and you never
Right.
know what you believe at 16, right? But I wanted to help people, and so I went on that path. I got into politics. Was working for the governor of Virginia at the age of 22 after working on several campaigns. So I had some early success, and I thought that was the training ground for me to run for office one day. And fast forward, I got into the business world, the private sector, moved to Nashville, Tennessee. I was booking well-known celebrity speakers because I thought this is a great networking job, and
Mm,
and it was building a private business resume that would help me run one day. And I got to the point of probably 28, 29, and I was very disenfranchised with politics, both sides of the aisle. I just felt like they're not doing what they said they're going to do. I don't know if this is where I want to be. So that, Eddie, created a bit of a crisis for me. And I think a lot of athletes can figure this, can feel this idea. I've been doing this one thing for a long time, and now I'm going to step into something else. I've coached a lot of men from the military and women from the military who, they've been in service their whole professional life, and then they step into the private sector. And so in my case, I had been aiming at one goal and only one goal for most of
mm,
my life, and I'm 29, 30 years of age. So it was a bit of a crisis for me for my identity, because it was like, well, if it's not politics, what is it?
mm,
And so that was very unsettling. So I'm giving you the very fast forwarded story. I
mm.
really began a process of life mapping. I was blessed to work for John Maxwell in Atlanta, Georgia, the
Yeah,
leadership guru.
yeah.
And through the connections there, I got with this life map guy, this world class coach who coached CEOs. He does me a favor and set me on a path of discovery for about 6 months, where I looked back in my life and I began to see the patterns. So why politics? Why not ministry? And begin to pull things out. And what I came to was, I've always loved communicating. I've always been the guy who wants the ball when it comes to communication. I want the pressure. I like being in front of people.
Yeah.
Most people would rather die than
And
speak
not many
publicly.
people want that pressure, man.
I know.
That's
That's
tough.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's
It's
tough.
a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I had a desire to communicate. I knew that I was above average. Um, and so what was the thread? So what I realized is I wanted to communicate to help people transform their life. And that was after dabbling in sports radio in Atlanta. I got myself on, you know, in Atlanta sports radio, and I love sports to this day. I could talk sports all day long. But I realized that the result of talking about sports was entertainment. There's nothing wrong with that result. It's good. But it wasn't the result that lit me up. And what lit me up was communicating to help people transform their life. So I had that at a high level. So now it was about figuring out transforming their life in what area. And so through a series of recollections of men in my life who had failed morally, and then they had not returned back to work, they had just kind of lived in shame. They never figured out how to pivot. I started to realize that what I wanted to help people do was figure out what they're supposed to do with their life. In other words, what are you wired to do? And you know, for athletes specifically, they're wired physically, many of them, to be able to perform athletic feats. And you know, the great ones like you, they're not only wired physically, they got something between the ears.
That's right.
And right here in the chest.
Yeah.
The great ones. Because I've seen some great physical athletes that can't cut it. You know? And so I began to realize, all right, I want to help people figure out what it is that they're designed to do. What are they wired to do? Because the age-old question, what should I do with my life, is something that everybody comes to, and it keeps you up at night. And it's very hard to figure out because we don't teach it. And so I set on a path to figure out what is the answer to that question for everybody. And the answer is to use what you do best, to do what you love, to produce a result you care deeply about. So I'll say that again, because this is true for athletes.
I'm writing this down.
Come on, this is rich. For the athlete, when your time is over on the field or on the court, you still have purpose, and your purpose is this: to use what you do best, to do what you love, to produce results that matter to you. Those are three wires. Talent is what you do best, passion is what you love to do, and mission, your mission, those are the results that you care deeply about. And so you've done a good job in that. As a former athlete, you stayed in the game. You couldn't play the game at the level that you used to, but you could still stay in the game, near the game. So whether it be broadcasting, consulting, now as a head coach, you're still using what you do best to do something you love, to produce a result you care deeply about. And so the result that you care deeply about can pivot as life changes. Before, I'm guessing it was to win a Super Bowl. I mean,
no question.
That's it. Now, it's not just to win your conference, to win your championship, but it's also to train young men.
That's right.
To be champions, not just on the field, but off the field. It's a very, very close missional result, even though it's not as specific as the Super Bowl, but it is still about winning.
Yes.
And so that's the key as you age and as you evolve in life. That little formula will always keep you on purpose. So you can ask yourself the question, am I using what I do best to do what I love, to produce results I care about?
Yes.
And if the answer is no, all right, then you got to figure out in which one of those three areas am I not on purpose? Because I believe we were uniquely and wonderfully made. And I think that self-awareness is the superpower, to know who you are, how you're wired. That's your design. But then there's your environment growing up and your experience up to this point that shapes all of it. And so that's where the heart comes in. That missional result is all based on your environment and your experience. That's where your heart gets shaped.
Yes. Let me ask you this, Ken. You know, you talk about, you know, your political career. Do you still, of course, you keep up with the political climate now, and I don't want to get into the weeds with that. But in terms of leadership, what is, you know, John Maxwell talks about it. He's written books on it, you know, Ramsey as well, you know, in terms of financial literacy and being, having empowerment in terms of your knowledge and so forth. What does leadership mean to you? And is that something that is a choice? Is it something that's innate? Is it something that can be taught, is developed? You know, you spend a lot of time talking to various leaders around the world, you know, so just in your path and in your knowledge of it, what is your thoughts on that?
Okay, first part was, what is leadership? And there's a story that's told. I hope it's true. If it's not, it should be. It's so beautiful.
Okay.
But apparently, a young reporter once asked General Eisenhower, who was then the president of the United States, Dwight Eisenhower, what leadership was. And he opened up the drawer on the Resolute desk in the Oval Office and he pulled out a pretty thick piece of twine about that long. And he put it down on the desk and he said, "This is not leadership." And he put his finger on it and he pushed it. And when you push a piece of rope like that, it'll kind of bunch up like a
Yeah.
worm. He said, "This is leadership." And he put his finger back on it and he pulled it.
Mm.
And it just kind of followed. You know, leadership is a lot of things, but I think functionally, leadership is the act of pulling people along to where we want to end up. Leadership is not a selfish practice. The very idea of leadership means that it's plural. We got multiple people of whom I'm leading. The person who's leading and no one's following is not a leader.
Right.
You're just
You're
on a
going for
walk.
a long walk. That's right.
You know, that old passage is really, really true.
Yes.
So I think the functionality is, wait a second, am I pulling people, my people, right? The
Right.
people that I'm blessed to lead, whether it be a football team or a small business or a church or whatever. Collectively, we're here for one reason. And am I pulling them towards that? That's the functional role. And so however your style is, that's really what it is that people want to follow and they are following because you have essentially given them that rope and you're leading the way. The second part of the question is it born? And there are a lot of opinions on this. I've heard a lot of people say, even Dave Ramsey says, when you go to the hospital, they don't point out and say they're leaders.
Right.
I think that's funny, but I will tell you, I do think that people are born with innate qualities that allow them to lead.
Okay. Like what?
So,
What are those qualities?
well,
Your top
one,
two.
yeah, the ability to handle pressure.
Ooh.
I'll break that down in a second.
Yeah.
The other one would be the ability to see forward,
Visionary.
vision. And I'm going to throw the ability to communicate effectively. Now, that does not mean that you are a dynamic speaker. I've seen leaders who are really great communicators who I'd never want to hear give a talk because it'd be disaster to listen to give a keynote, but they communicate effectively. I'm thinking of my high school basketball coach, Benny Polk, was not an eloquent man, but he communicated very effectively. So I think those traits you're born with. And then to your fourth question is, yes, it can be taught. It absolutely can be taught. However, if you don't have some of the innate, and I could go through a list of 20 innate qualities, if you don't have those, I can teach you leadership, but you won't be effective. It's like bringing me out on the football field. You can teach me how to throw a football. I'm a decent athlete, was a decent athlete my whole life, but I have been around pro athletes, particularly quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between being a good athlete and playing with my buddies or my kids and throwing a decent ball and being able to throw a ball in the tight windows like we saw last night. Okay.
Yes.
You know this. The pro quarterbacks can put a ball where most people cannot put it.
Some of them can.
The great ones. The great ones, right?
Yes.
My point is you can teach me all the fundamentals, but if I don't have that talent of accuracy that former coach Mike Leach is no longer with us, used to tell you, I can't teach accuracy. I can teach footwork. I can teach where the ball's supposed to be placed. I can teach release. I can't teach somebody to be accurate. So I will say that you've got to have some core talents to become a great leader. And that's key because in the American workplace and even in football or any sport, in America, we promote people, Eddie, into leadership sometimes when they should never be in leadership, but we just keep promoting them up. And then we promote them up into a role and we don't teach them how to do the role, or we promote them and they don't have what it takes to be in that role. So that's just a little extra there. That's sometimes a controversial take on leadership, but I've seen it. I've seen it in every area of life.
It's interesting because now that I've been in the seat of a head coach, um, it's so true. I think I've been developed through the years for this moment. I really, like I say this all the time, and I wasn't looking to get into coaching. I don't think I could have done this a long time ago because I wasn't prepared
Mm.
to do it. I couldn't lead myself. I had to learn how to lead me and my family first, and then this opportunity just really came about based off of what I was doing. I was acting. I had my wealth management business,
Hmm.
and I was building that. Still am, and but it's just weird that now this season of my life, I got into coaching 4 years ago, and I resisted it. I didn't want to do it, but when I really immersed myself into it, and I gave myself fully to the the job of coaching, I fell in love with it, and just the impact that you have on lives every single day,
Mm.
how it stretches you, how it stretches me, to be the best person I can be, and to be an example,
Mm.
you know, and to be an effective listener as well. I think we can communicate with our mouth and our actions, but to to listen to kids is going to is going to that's what my number one goal is to listen and then respond, and that's what acting really taught me.
Yeah.
The various lessons of listening to the lines and
Mm.
not just waiting for somebody to say the lines and you repeat the lines, but allow it to land and affect you and move
Yes.
you to
Oh,
move
that's
the
good.
other words. And that's where the arts comes in. So
Yeah.
I've learned to listen. I've learned to listen to my wife.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good move.
Both as in words and certainly actions
Hmm.
and body language and my kids, and it's been a wonderful deal, man, for me. So I've thoroughly have enjoyed this whole deal. Um, Often in your talks you talk about clarity.
Hmm.
Having clarity in your is one of your topics, right?
Yeah.
Was there ever a time that you were not clear, and how did you find clarity?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Part of the story I was sharing earlier was probably the biggest season of my life where I didn't have clarity because it was, what direction am I going professionally? I got three little kids.
Yeah.
I got a nice house and a gated golf community. I got stuff. I got responsibility here. All that stuff that we, allow to creep into our life and create pressure. And and when I really started digging in to and I didn't know the formula at the time that I shared with you a minute ago, but how I got clarity was I started looking into the past and I
Mm,
started reconnecting to my heart. Part of the problem is this brain that God gave us, it's designed to protect us. You've heard of all about the amygdala. This is the back part of our brain. Many people
yes,
call it
sir.
the lizard brain. You can go Google this later. I won't nerd out on it,
Yeah.
but it really is the part of the brain that is driving fight or flight. So when we are facing any kind of fear or uncertainty, the brain, the amygdala, starts firing, and we go into protection mode. Okay, and so you got to fight that in times where you're unclear, Eddie, because what will happen is if you stay up here and you let your brain rule the day, your brain will start to overanalyze, come up with all these other options, and many times talk you into the wrong decision
Mm,
because it is protectionary. And so, what we have to do when we're unclear is turn our brain off to the extent that we now focus on what is our heart telling us.
mm-hmm.
So, that's what I teach. When you want to get ultimate clarity, this is where it comes down to values. What do you value? What do you long for? What is your heart telling you? Because when we've got our head and heart in a wrestling match, because that's what's happening when we're unclear. Because I could just tell you, the person who presents to me, Eddie, is really unclear. If I can separate all the fear and doubt,
Mm-hmm.
then I can get to the heart. And I can tell you, even in uncertainty, our heart has an answer. What
Yes.
we have to do is we got to remove all the fear. And I'll define fear and doubt because I think it's super important. Fear is I am worried that something bad will happen if I move forward.
Yes.
Doubt is I don't believe something good will happen if I move forward.
Oh, wow.
Now, see, those are two very different things,
Yeah.
okay, but powerful. So what happens is we got to get rid of the doubt and the fear long enough to go, what is that good?
Yeah.
What is the good that I want? Because the bad that I'm fearful of is the opposite of the good, and the good that I don't think can happen is just kind of I feel like it's a fairy tale. It's never going to happen, and so why should I waste my time? Blah 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 blah. And we just get into this kind of this imposter syndrome. Okay,
Right.
so what we have to do is I say retreat to clarity. Who am I?
Mm.
Self awareness is the superpower. Who
Mm.
am I? What am I good at? What lights my soul on fire, even when I'm thinking about doing it, much less
Right.
doing it?
Right.
Okay. And for me, it's teaching and communicating. I get just as fired up speaking for a team, like a basketball team. I spoke to a team a couple of months ago,
Uh-huh.
and I get just as fired up talking to 18 or 15 Division One basketball players as I do 15,000 people, which
Mm.
I've had that opportunity. Because it doesn't matter about the size, it is the function that I am coming there to communicate something to help people. And so for me, it took me a while. I figured that out. And now I know no matter how unclear I might get, I can retreat to what lights my soul on fire.
Mm.
Coaching people, speaking, writing. Part of what I do is performing. I was just on the air with Dave Ramsey right before I walked in here for 3 hours. And even though we're coaching people in their finances, make no mistake, it's a show.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
week I'm in Chicago, packed out comedy club, like 300 people. We're putting on a show. And so when there's pressure on me, I'm at my best.
Have you ever failed in terms of during
Yeah.
this process? Talk me through that, because what happens when you pivot
Yeah.
and something doesn't work out? I remember when I started acting and I completely forgot my lines
Yeah.
and had to make something up on the spot.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to go on stage again.
Of
But
course.
I returned back to the stage to face that fear, and
Yeah.
it led to some opportunity. So
Yeah.
walk me through that. Tell
Yeah.
me some stories about how'd you get through it, man, making
I'll
these
tell you,
pivots in your life, man.
this is going to be painful to even share with you. I was early on trying to pursue broadcasting, and I had a friend who was a NASCAR reporter for Turner Sports, and the Atlanta. I lived in the Atlanta area, and so I needed a demo team. And so I call this guy up and I say, "Can I come down and do some highlights or something? I got to be able to prove to people that I can do this TV thing." He goes, "Man, no problem." He's like, "I'm taping this NASCAR show, Turner Sports, same facility where EJ and Kenny and Charles and Shaq do their show." And he said, "Come down there. When I'm done, I'll rerun one of my highlight packages and you do it."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very confident. I've watched Sports Center a billion hours. I was super cocky about this. I got this. This is going to be super fun. So we get there. He gets done with the show, and I don't know what to expect. And I'll give you the lesson in a second. And he throws me in
Sure.
the chair and he goes, "Okay, we're going to rerun this last highlight." And he goes, "The director, this is Fred. Fred's going to run it." Fred goes, "Ken, you ready?" And they're sticking stuff, in my ear. I've never done this before. So now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I got massive pucker factor. So confident Sports Center Ken is now a frightened turtle. I mean, I am starting to my mouth is getting dry. I've realized that I've stepped into this. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't do any kind of prep, didn't practice some highlights, turn the volume down. So I didn't do anything. I just went in real cocky. I got this. And so they roll the package, and I'm behind the highlights
Oh,
like
yeah.
instantly, and I can't catch up. My brain is shutting down.
Yeah.
I'm so dry, I couldn't have sucked on a rock. I mean, it was just terrifying. And off to the side, I see my friend who's done me a solid, and now I feel like I'm embarrassing him. It's just a train wreck. And so got through it. It was terrible. We did it one more time. I was a little bit better the second time, but I'm talking like we went from
Yeah.
suck to bad.
Yeah.
And we get done, and I just wanted to get out of there. I wanted to go in the parking lot and just run the car over myself. I just felt so bad. And the lesson, and so what I did there in that moment, I had a crisis of, do I not have the chops? And after I got over the humiliation, I realized I still think I have the chops, but the problem is not the talent. The problem was the preparation.
Mm.
The problem was I didn't go in and ask a lot of questions. I needed to swallow my pride enough to go in and go, okay, wait a second. So what's about to happen? Am I looking at the prompter? Am I making my, like, I didn't ask any questions. I just went in and I let the environment swallow me whole.
Yeah.
And I should have said, oh, time out. I need help. I needed to swallow my pride. I should have prepped all the things. So I learned I don't ever want to feel that way again.
Okay.
Because, like it or not, I'm a guy who cares about presentation. That's why I'm in the work that I am. I take my role very seriously. I do a lot of preparation. I've said this before. Relentless preparation leads to reflexive performance. We see this in
Right.
football all the time. You know, the great quarterbacks can run no longer a 2-minute drill. That's a joke. They do 1 minute. They can go down the field in a minute because they've watched so much film. They've practiced that routine. They know the plays. They know the cadence. They know what they're doing. And so that relentless preparation leads to reflexive performance. And so I made a decision that day. I was never, ever, ever, ever going to put myself in a situation where, number one, I didn't prepare. Number two, I had too much pride to ask questions and ask for help. And number three, live with that unbelievable humiliation of sucking when I shouldn't have sucked.
Yeah.
And so you learn from it is the short answer. You go, I'm going to break failure down. You all do this well. I mean, this is a part of the football and athletic culture is you watch game tape. And I don't think the average person has got the guts, to be honest with you, to get feedback from other people and to self-reflect. I mean, because those are hard things to do. And it takes discipline and character to go, all right, tell me, give it to me. Like, lay me out. No roses, crush me here. And then I need to sit with that and reflect. And I think that is the difference between the winners in life and the losers in life is the winners are willing, if nothing else, to do those two things. Because if you do those two things, you will grow just by osmosis.
Yes. No, that's phenomenal. A couple things that I got from your story is I had one similar when I was with Fox, and the highlights are woo.
They're tough.
It's no joke. And when the red light comes on and it's live, and you're going through the package, you're behind, you stumble over your words, you kind of forget, and I just stopped. It was dead silent.
I get it.
What am I doing?
Yes.
It was the worst feeling ever, but it taught me, again, to your point, to be prepared and to ask questions and to, I would stay after our talent meeting and just go through highlights, and just kind of read through it, read on the page and kind of add my own flavor to it. I got better over time, not better to the point where I'm still at Fox, but it taught me a lot, and that was tough. The other one was guts.
Yeah.
That's the acronym that I use for my program. You got to have the guts to pursue a God-given dream. And along with that, you have to have the guts to go through failure. You have to be willing to get hit on the chin and go through it, because that's where growth really happens. And the G stands for gumption. You got to have the initiative to really pursue it, and to step out there in faith and to go. If nobody's laughing at your dreams, it's not big enough.
That's right.
And then the understanding is understanding what it takes to get to that goal. You're going to have to go through the hard stuff. You're going to have to, really, in order to get there, you have to go through it, and you got to be willing to take it on the chin and have a tenacious spirit. That's the T. And the sacrifice. The S is for a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your time, your money, your effort, sometimes your family life, in order to build and hone your craft. So, I use that as something to tell my players that if you're thinking about just going to the NFL and just making a bunch of money and just riding off to the sunset, your dream is too small. You may not know it now, but you got to continue to pursue what your God-given purpose is, because football is nothing but a platform for your long-term purpose.
Yeah. So I love that. I love acronyms, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a great tool of great communicators. It's something sticky. That's good stuff.
Yeah, man. So real quick, last thing I do on all my guests. I ask them the 5 H's.
Okay.
And you probably touched on this one a little bit. Some of them will probably connect. Some of the stories you already kind of talked about, or something may strike you differently. So I asked them a hero, a hardship, a highlight, what do you hope for, and something hilarious. So I'll start with the first H. Who's your hero?
Um, I would say my grandfather. I knew him as Granddaddy. He was the kindest, most compassionate, most positive guy I've ever met in my life. When he walked in a room, he lit the room up, but he lit the room up by lighting other people up. He was that kind of guy that put the love and attention on other people, and no question that he's top of the list.
Okay, what's the hardship?
Man, there's so many, so many, and I'm glad you asked this question because we focus too much on the victories of life. I think when my wife and I went through infertility,
Mm.
it was a dark 7 years. All I ever wanted was kids. Um, I wanted to be a dad so bad, and we did everything, tried everything. It was a brutal season, and then God led us to adoption and adopted the most amazing boys on the planet who are now young men and starting out their life. One's a sophomore in college, one's a senior in high school. I think the hardship of longing, and I'm saying this hopefully to touch some people because I know there's some people that are listening and watching right now that are waiting on something
Yeah.
and waiting on something that you desire, whatever it is absolutely dark and excruciating because you long for it. And most of the time you're doing something to try to make it happen and it's not happening. And that takes just tremendous grit um, and faith in a lot of things. So I would say that always sticks out to me as the hardest season of my life. But we got through it on the other side. Um, I'd do it all over again 100 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And before I ask the next H, what did you learn through that period?
Um, Two things. One, I do believe God has a plan,
Yeah.
and His timing is not our timing,
Man.
and that's really really hard to deal with.
Yes, it is.
But on the human level, um, life is is the game of life is won in the tension between persistence and patience.
Wow. I love that. I
You
love
know what
that.
I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
you
I
got to
do.
get up and keep showing up,
Yeah.
um, and that's the persistence. But the patience part is excruciating.
Excruciating, I know.
So there's a gap between, you know, where we are and where we want to be, and to win that gap, to get over that gap, is to learn the tension and live in the tension of I got to get up and I got to show up. I got to keep showing up. And the thing that I want to happen may not happen today, and it may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen the next day. So I think that's the big life lesson I took from that.
Good. Tell me a highlight. You had so many.
Yeah. I'll tell you a recent one that was so special. My very first interview, I was working with John Maxwell, leadership guru, and we had Coach K, legendary Duke coach,
Oh, that's awesome.
was going to be a part of our leadership simulcast. And he had a rare cancellation. I'm giving you the super quick version of the story because I know our time is short. For a really rare circumstance, he had to cancel on us. And he felt bad. And he said, look, I can give you your money back. Obviously, I know you've promoted me, but I can do an interview with you guys and you play it on the day of the simulcast. Tell them why. And I want to make lemonade out of lemons. So we said, okay, we'll do that. So I was going to write the interview because I was the big Coach K fan, big basketball fan. So I read his book, Leading with the Heart, and I wrote this interview for the Braves play-by-play guy, Bob Rathman, still doing the Hawk stuff. And a week before we're supposed to go, and the deal was, I'll write the interview for you, Bob, but I get to go. I want to meet Coach K. Deal. A week before, Eddie, Bob calls and says, we had a rain out, and Major League Baseball scheduled the game on the day we're supposed to go to Durham, interview Coach. I can't go. So my boss was like, you got to do the interview. Like, we can't get anybody else. And I was like, I'm in. Now, Eddie, I'd never done an interview in my life. And at this point in my life, I had begun to believe, to the very first question you asked me, that broadcasting was in my future. So I feel like God's giving me this opportunity to interview Coach K. We get there. This is so long ago. It's 20 years ago. Um, and we had to change tapes 30 minutes in. And we change and we stop. And I'm sitting knee to knee with Coach. And I'll never forget, he leans forward and he pats me on the knee and he goes, "You're doing a great job. Like, really good." He goes, "You remind me of one of my best friends." And he says this guy's name. He's a legendary, Charlie Rose at the time. He's been canceled since. But I'll tell the story. I don't care. And he's like, "You remind me of him." And back then it was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm looking around. The producer hears it. I'm like, "Is there a witness?" And
That's awesome.
he just really spoke belief over me.
Yeah.
Okay, so last year at our big Ramsey leadership event, Eddie, he was back. He was one of our keynotes, and I was keynoting as well. And 20 years to the month, Coach K and I get reunited in front of 5,000 leaders, and I tell that story, a much longer version of it. And I looked at him and I said, "Coach, you did what all great coaches do. And what they do is they inject their belief into their players. They speak belief over the players. That's what a really great coach does. Only a great coach can give a kid belief when he needs it most." And he did that to me, and he didn't have to. And I was standing on that stage and my career flourishing, and I was able to look at him and say, I can say for a fact, after I told the story, that I wouldn't be on this stage today if it wasn't for the belief that you spoke over me. And the crowd went nuts, and I got to hug him. And I would say that I got goosebumps right now. And I got a million ones, but that's a professional one that I love to share.
Man, that's Ken. This is so good, man. This is so good. Oh wow, I love Coach K too. That's one of I'm on this whole thing of reading books with from Bill Walsh to Don Stanley to the culture. To I've just been since I've been in coaching every single day. I'm reading something. I just finished a book called The Culture, about the All Blacks. It's a phenomenal read.
The New Zealand rugby team. Yeah, man, legendary.
It is. I get goosebumps because it speaks to it. Kind of reinforces some things that I've been already thinking.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I can lean into this a little bit more.
Yep.
And really just coaching the hearts of young men and coaching and shaping their character.
Yeah.
Through discipline and discernment. You know, that's
so good.
Yeah.
By the way, great documentary on them on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is it? Okay. Amazon Prime. Write this down.
Amazon Prime. It's All or Nothing. It's that series, and it's actually on the All Blacks. It's a fabulous documentary.
Okay.
You'll be ready to run through a wall again.
Awesome. All right. Hope for. What do you hope for?
You know, I hope to finish well. Yeah, I'm 51. I don't feel 51.
You look great, man.
Thank you. I try not to act 51, but, my kids are in an age, where I only got a couple more years where we're empty nesters. I've been able to achieve a lot of things that I dreamed of achieving. And I think I haven't shared this publicly, but I'm going to share it. It feels right. I told my wife recently, my whole professional life, and even when I was a high school kid, I longed for the spotlight. And I wanted to be known. And at this stage of my life, I want to be wealthy and unknown. And I'm not saying that I'm walking away from it. What I'm saying is that wealthiness is not just financial. Right. Wealthiness is my health, my relationships. I've been married 27 years.
Yes.
My kids. I want to be famous in my house.
Yeah. That's good.
So I want to. So many men don't finish well, and I'm talking all walks of life.
Yeah.
And Eddie, I just want to finish well. I've had failures, but nothing crazy major. And in those areas, I don't want to fail morally. I don't want to fail financially. I don't want to fail spiritually. I just want to finish. And when people go, for the few that care and show up, they go,
Yeah.
he ran the race well. That to me is what I hope for.
And just describe that. Like, is it when you say you finished well? Is that you've been married for
Yeah,
50 years? You've
yeah,
had
yeah.
you've empowered
Married,
20
my
people.
kids still come back around. They
Yeah.
want to be around my wife and I when
Yeah.
they have their own life. I'm getting to speak life over them,
Yeah.
their kids, my grandkids. I want to be plugged in. I want to have a whole family. I don't
Yes.
want I don't want to be the cause of breaking something
That's
in my
right.
family.
Good.
So that's what I mean there. Spiritually, I want to continue to grow in my faith. I want to honor um, the Lord. I want people who come in contact with me to go, "Hey, that guy didn't preach at me, but I think maybe there's a little something different there.
Right.
There's something else there." My heart grieves for how people of faith have come across in the public space,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be for people, not against them. Um, that's wealthy in that area. That's finishing well there. Financially, I'm in good shape there, being a good
Yeah.
steward of that. Don't want to squander anything. I got some great guy friends in my life, and I'm very selective, but I want to continue to add men around me that are, when we're together, sparks are flying, not
Yes.
because we're competing, but because we're challenging each other and we're making each other better.
Iron
Uh,
sharpens iron, man.
yeah, I mean, that's the idea of finishing well. And by the way, professionally, I, I don't know what God has for me in the
Right.
future. But I'll tell you this much. I want to be the guy who doesn't stop working. Will I slow down? Sure. Travel more, do some more fun stuff. I hope to play pickleball until I'm 90. Um, but I don't want to stop contributing. So I want to finish well in my work to continue to use what I do best to do what I love to produce a result that matters to me, no matter what age I am. So that's the full picture.
Okay. And the final H, and I got a couple more questions after that, and
Okay.
I'll let you go. What do you find hilarious? Something hilarious. Hilarious story, something.
um, I think physical comedy is hilarious. When my dad and mom come into town, inevitably we always end up on YouTube watching like crazy knockouts.
Hmm.
I don't know why I find it funny to watch somebody get their clock just absolutely clean, like a good clean punch. I think it's funny. I love boxing and MMA, but
Yeah.
stuff like that, like physical comedy, is really funny for me. I'll tell you, like practical jokes, I'm always messing with my buddies. So I'm the guy that like, will try to do stuff to like scare people or,
Nice.
like this is terrible. I can't even about to admit this, but we went on a hunting trip with a bunch of guys. I'm not a hunter, but I was like, I'll go. I'm down for all the stuff. I love a cigar, and hanging out by the fire. So I'm there. I didn't kill anything, but I got no problem with hunting. So I'm out there, and we're staying in this really nice lodge. And this is an old trick from like high school, but I was in this kitchen and I see some of that. What is that clear wrap? Is it
Oh,
bubble
saran wrap.
saran wrap? It's
Yeah.
clear, right? If you
Hmm.
stretch it. So I go to my buddy's uh, room. He's not in there. They're all out by the fire having a cigar. And I take the saran wrap and I wrap his toilet
Oh.
and pull it tight. This is horrible. I can't
Oh
even
my
believe
God.
you're
That's
getting stuff out of me. And dude, and sure enough, I waited until he said he was going to the restroom. I went in there and dude, the reaction. And now I had to clean it up because now I'm an adult and
Oh
a mature adult.
God.
But it,
Oh God.
yeah, I was dying. And by the way, I told all the other guys, I go, this is what I did. Wait for this reaction.
Oh my
And
God.
sure enough, man, that kind of stuff, a practical joke, to me is really hilarious.
That's but that would I would have killed you for that one.
I
That's a
know
good
it's
one.
dangerous, but you got to clean it up. And then that's the negative side of doing that.
Yeah, a big negative that you had to clean it up, man. Okay, real quick, what's one daily habit you can't live without?
um, my morning routine.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
I I need to start the day slow because the rest of the day is fast.
uh,
So for me, that habit of I pray,
Yeah.
I read some scripture, I reflect on it, and then I have this other app that I read that's just really good for my emotions, and it's just a kind of a reminder. It gets me in check of what am I feeling, what's going on. I want to make sure that I'm aware of that,
Hmm.
and so that's about a 20-minute, 25-minute process. It's before anybody else is up. There's a really good latte that I've made for myself, my fancy latte. I do have to have that, uh, but that's my habit. And even when I'm on the road, I will do a version of that in my hotel room. I just need that um, intentionality to set the day.
Okay. And my final question: what's the best piece of advice that you ever received from Dave Ramsey or John Maxwell or another mentor that I haven't mentioned?
I'm gonna give you the best piece of advice I've ever gotten is from my dad. And I'm 7 years of age, and I wanted to be great in soccer, and I wasn't great. I was super little because I'm still a very little guy.
Hmm.
And I was crying on the car on the way home because I wasn't getting playing time. Because this was back in the day when everybody didn't get playing time, you know.
Right.
And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, hey, chin up." I'm in the back seat. He's looking at me in the rearview mirror, and he said, "Your time will come."
Mm.
And I'm 7. I don't even know what it means, but he kept saying it through different seasons. But I remember still to this day that moment because I heard the words, and then I said, and then he explained himself to me. And here's what he said. He said, "Number one, you're in a 8 to 10 year old league. You're the youngest kid in the league. You're one of the smallest kids in the league. You keep practicing. You keep getting better. And a couple of years from now, you're going to be the oldest kid in the league, and you're going to be really, really good." And I took that so seriously. I became so dedicated to it that I made the travel team as a 10-year-old, and I led the league in scoring.
Oh, wow.
He spoke that over me. And so the lesson is your time will come. And that has stayed with me as I rebranded myself, reinvented myself in my early 30s. When I've launched things here into a very competitive space, and launching new shows or whatever, or going and doing Fox or CNN, learning how to do TV and get good at it, it stays in my mind. And that advice, that's the best I've ever heard. Your time will come, but
Your
in
time.
order for it to come, you got to keep showing up.
You gotta keep showing up. That's awesome, man. Well, hey Ken, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Eddie.
If I missed anything, let me know.
No, are you kidding
Okay.
me?
All
This is
right.
a treat for me because this is one of the true great running backs in the history of the NFL, and I want your audience to know that I was a season ticket holder during your tenure in Nashville here with the Titans, and you ran with such tremendous passion.
Yeah.
Uh, and the city loved you
Well,
because of
I
how you
love to
played
hear.
the game. And I'm rooting for you, man. I was rooting for you at Tennessee State. I'm rooting for you now. I'm excited what God's got for you, and I think that you've got a special calling on your life, and you're going to be able to speak to young men that are under your tutelage in a way that nobody else in their life will be able to. And I just wanted to leave you with that encouragement for sure.
Well, thank you for speaking over my life, man. I receive it. I definitely do. And
Yeah,
if there's any feedback you can give me on the hosting piece, please send me the notes, man.
yeah.
All right,
I
you do a
appreciate you.
phenomenal job, man.
Thank you.
Love your podcast. Love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for responding. And
Yeah,
if you ever want me to come on to do your show,
I do. I
hey,
need to
give me a
get you as
call.
soon as the season is over.
You got me. You got me.
I'll bring the crew to you.
Well, I'll come down to Nashville.
You
It
come
doesn't.
in. I was going to
Oh
ask
yeah,
you if you ever
I'll
get
come back.
down here
Yeah,
much.
yep. I'll come back. I still have my house there. I'm
Okay. All
process
right.
of
Well, then
probably
we got to
selling it,
get
but
you in studio,
I
man.
got you. I got you covered, brother.
Done.
Yes, sir.
That would be a
Anytime.
high honor to have you.
I would be honored to be on there. Trust
Great.
me.
Love it,
That would be
brother.
lovely. Well, thank you, Ken.
Thanks, brother.
God bless you, brother.
Yes, sir, brother.
Blessings over you and your family, man. Take care.
Thank you, Eddie.
All right, brother.